I'm from West Bengal, India. I live in a town near Kolkata, although the incident took place in my grandparents' village. This incident occurred in 2021 when I went to their place during vacation. There is a local folklore about the man-eating demons called Pishak ghouls in our village. It is said that they live in graveyards and eat the flesh of dead humans who didn't live a righteous life. But sometimes they take the form of a beautiful woman or a crying child to attract people at night and eat them alive. It's a pretty well-known story. We have been hearing it since childhood, though I personally didn't believe it. Jinns exist, but they can't hurt humans in normal circumstances. One day, I went to see a performance in a neighboring village with my friend Armin. By the time the performance ended, it was almost midnight. We started coming back home. On the way back, we had to cross an old graveyard. It was one of the biggest paranormal hotspots in our village. We were talking about the performance the whole time until we reached the graveyard. Both of us became silent. We have crossed this road many times, but never this late at night. Our body felt heavy as we crossed it. Every noise felt paranormal. Each step felt slower than the last. Suddenly, we heard a faint noise. As we walked down the road, the sound became louder and clearer. It was the cry of a child. Of course, we just had to run into a ghoul. I felt like crying. I looked beside me. Armin was just as scared. The most terrifying thing is the fact that we heard it means it already knows about our presence. As we slowly went closer to the sound, we saw a child about 1 to 2 years old crying beside the road. We did not approach it. We didn't even directly look at it. As we walked by it, my eyes started tearing up. Every cell in my body told me to run. I barely managed to keep my sanity. I would have probably passed out if I was alone. As we went past it, the crying became louder and louder, to the point I felt like my eardrum would burst. Once we were about 20 meters away from it, the crying stopped. I could not longer control my body. I ended up looking back, and I saw nothing. It was gone. There wasn't any sign of it around. I took a deep breath. My heart felt lighter. Armin looked at me. He was also relieved. But before we could say a single sentence, we heard a demonic scream. It came from the graveyard. That was the last straw. We ran as fast as we could. I could feel my consciousness slipping away. We did not stop running until we reached our village. There were a few people sitting beside a campfire playing cards. The moment we saw them, I became unconscious. I wake up in my grandparents' home. Armin had already woken up. He told them everything. I confirmed his claims. We saw a demon. We really did. Some believed us, and some didn't. I got an earful from my grandmother. Well, it's been 4 years since that incident. We still talk about it when I go back to the village during vacations. I still wonder what would have happened if I had been alone at that time. Maybe I wouldn't be here telling you guys about this incident. But one thing is for sure. I'm never using that road at night ever again. Please show your support by subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the video. This really helps us a lot. I upload daily horror stories, so make sure to press the bell icon. I'm 36 years old, and I'm French. My English may not be perfect, but I'll do my best. Thanks for your understanding. Back in 2003, I used to receive some email chain containing many weird and old pictures that were supposed to show ghosts. I'd never seen that before, so I was both scared and curiously attracted at the same time. I did a search on the web to find out how to try to take some ghost pictures by myself, and I found a blog that gave me some pieces of advice. So, one day, I decided to ask my stepfather to lend me a digital camera. It was a Friday evening. We were in March or April. My friends and I used to hang out in a castle that belonged to the municipality. Yes, that town was awesome, and that part of my life was priceless, where lots of kids from the town used to play music or just chill and play games with the community workers. It was around 10 p.m. I was with one good friend, and on our way back home, we had to walk past the town graveyard. I told him I wanted to try to take some ghost pictures tonight, and he was okay to come with me. In front of the graveyard, we met my little brother and 4 friends of his. They were coming back home too, and they were chatting on a bench. They asked us what we were doing, and I decided to tell them the truth. They were very enthusiastic, and they asked me if they could come with us. This idea didn't very please me, but I said yes, on one condition. They had to follow my instructions. They were all okay, and I told them that when we're inside the graveyard, we all have to be quiet, respectful, and aware of every strange feeling we could have. If someone feels something, just make me a sign and show me the direction so I can take a picture with the camera flash on. Then we all passed over the barrier and began to walk through the graveyard. The graveyard was divided into 2 parts, one old and creepy, and one recent and pretty normal. I decided to go to the old part because there were a lot of statues and paths surrounded by large fir trees. It was creepy by itself. We walked between the graves and through the paths. Everything around us was very scary. But after a while and some random pictures, nobody felt anything weird. So we decided to come back to the recent part, to go outside of the graveyard and come back home. On our way to the barrier, we were more relaxed and started to chat quietly and laugh a little bit. The pressure has faded away. We were walking with new graves on our left side when something very strange happened. My brother turned to me. He was white as a sheet and tears were running down his cheeks. He said, "Take a picture. She is right there." I was confused, and I took a picture as fast as I could in the direction he showed me. After that, nobody said a word until we got out of the graveyard. Everybody was stunned and frightened. When we were out, we started to talk. My brother said he didn't know what happened. He did not see anything, but he had a very powerful feeling that there was a woman just right where he showed me, and that the feeling was so strange that some tears began to fall. We said goodnight to his friends, and we came back to our house with my brother and my friend. Once we got home, we wanted to see the pictures, so I connected the camera to my computer. My mother and my stepfather were still awake, so they came to see the pictures too. The first pictures were just some statues and old graves, and nothing was interesting. The only curious thing was the last picture, the picture my brother asked me to take. It was a new grave with a lot of flowers on it, but behind that grave there was something unusual. There was a white shape, not like a light or something. It was made of white, thick smoke, but rich in details. We could see a woman. She was small or on her knees. She was wearing a large dress. She had long hair and her head down, her hair hiding half of her face. We all saw her in the picture at the same time, and we were shocked and scared, except for my stepfather, who immediately said that this was a prank and started to laugh. We could all see the woman. There was every detail, like a normal person, but made of thin and dense smoke. He could see her too, but he didn't want to admit that a thing like that could be possible. After that, I saved the picture on a floppy disk. Remember 2003? We talked and tried to change our minds, and after a while my friend went back to his house, and everyone was going to bed. It was one of the worst nights I've ever had. I was sweating, shaking, thinking about the woman in the picture. I know it was only in my head, but I'm pretty sure that between 2 dreams, I felt something trying to pull my blanket. Anyway, I don't think this detail is important. I was just scared. The next day, I took the floppy disk and decided to show the picture to everyone in the castle. So I came out of the house, and on my way to the castle, I went in front of the graveyard. This time, it was daylight, and my curiosity was stronger than my fear. I had to know who was on that grave. So I walked into the graveyard. I found the grave, and it was a man, apparently. He was a football coach. So I checked the graves next to his, the place where the woman stood. It was a baby. He died at less than 1 year old. So I was a little bit confused, and I went to the next grave. And then there was the creepiest thing. It was a woman who died the year before. Everyone in town knew her story, because it was one of the most traumatic facts that happened last year. She was in the car with her husband and her daughter. The father was driving on a little road next to my town. He stopped the car on the side of the road. I don't know why. But the woman got out of the car. Maybe he wanted her to drive the car. So she walked around the car. But the car was parked in a sharp bend a little way down the top of a hill. Some young guys who were driving way too fast didn't see her. She was instantly hit and cut in half before the eyes of her family. Horrible story. That's why everyone knew her. It was chilling. I came out of the graveyard faster than I came in, with lots of scenarios in my head. I finally went to the castle and showed the picture to the guys who were near the computer and didn't say anything. Everyone saw the woman, but they all reacted like my stepfather. They started to laugh and said that it was a fake picture, that it was a prank. I didn't mind. The fact that they saw the woman in the picture proved that there was something, whatever it is. Everyone saw it. I kept showing the picture to everyone I knew. Only a few people believed me, but they all saw a woman too. Only my friend, my brother, and his friends know what really happened that night. The real circumstances of the picture, my brother, and the tears. This is one of the most disturbing parts of the story. I think you all want to see the picture, and I swear I want to show it to you too. But back in 2003, when I showed the picture to everyone with my floppy disk, I lent it to an ex-girlfriend so she could show the picture to her family, but she never gave it back to me. I truly regret being unable to keep showing this picture to everyone, because it was the most accurate ghost or spirit picture I've ever seen, especially if you know what happened just before with my brother and who were in the graves where the shape was. Since that day, I'm truly convinced that there are things that we cannot explain. Whatever it is real. This story keeps haunting me 18 years later. If anyone has seen or lived anything like that, please let me know.